Hey, Trevor Alexander here with Burns Saddlery. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to sharpen this straight edge knife. We're going to have our coarse stone, our medium stone, our fine stone, and then our stropping films. So we're going to start with our coarse stone. We're going to establish an angle. The angle that we are going to establish is about 20 degrees. The thinner that your edge is, the easier it can roll or chip or be damaged, and the thicker your edge is, the more difficult it is for it to be rolled, but it just won't get as sharp. So 20 degrees is a nice angle for pocket knives, everyday use knives, something like that, where a 15 would be a kitchen knife and a 30 would be something like a chopper knife, a camp knife. You'd want more at a 30-degree angle. You're going to watch for this shadow here to disappear. Right when that touches, you want to, and your shadow disappears, you want to stop raising up, and then we're going to go with the blade. I'm really locking in my wrist, making sure this knife doesn't move. And I'm not pulling with my wrist. I'm not sharpening like this because your angle can change drastically that way. So I'm using my elbow as a pivot point to just drag the knife towards me. So as long as you stay on top of sharpening your knife, you won't have to go through this long of a process. But if your knife gets as dull as this one did, it's going to take a lot more work to bring it back. So it's good to touch up your knives every once in a while just to keep them nice and straight, keep them nice and sharp, so they don't have to take this long to sharpen. We're going to be establishing a burr, so the metal will roll over and just have a little wire edge that you can feel if you move your finger across the blade. And once we have a burr all the way across the length of the blade, then we're going to swap to the other side and do the same thing. You'll notice for the tip of the knife, I am pressing down with my finger on this outside towards the tip to ensure that it gets the same amount of sharpening as the rest of the knife. So the tip of the knife tends to flex just a little bit, so it doesn't get as much pressure when you're pushing down on the middle of the knife. So I'm going to run my finger to that edge like that. Just about got our burr all the way across the edge of the knife. You can almost hear that. Okay, so we have our burr all the way across the edge of the knife. So we're going to flip it over, check for our angle, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. A little more work on this side, and then we'll move to the next grit of stone. Okay, so we have our burr all the way across the edge of our blade. So we're going to flip to our next grit of stone. And we're going to do the same thing we just did, and we're going to start on the side that has the burr. I'll flop it over to the other side of the knife. So you'll notice I'm running the knife back and forth. It just removes material a little bit quicker. When we get to the finer grit stones, we will just be running straight on like that. But for these coarser stones, I want to remove a lot of material, so I'm going to be using this method. So we have our 2000 grit stone here. We're just going to set it on top of this. And we want to just pull nice and easy towards us, keeping that same angle that we've had the whole time. Now that we're on to our finest grit of stone that we have, we want to lighten up our pressure. We're really going to focus on polishing that blade now. Okay, now we're going to switch to our stropping films. We're going to start with the 3 micron. And we're going to run the opposite way, because if we were to run our knife this way, it would just cut our stropping film. So we're going to run this way on our stropping film. Now we're going to switch to our 1 micron. Okay, now we're going to take it over to the buffer, give it a nice little buff. So it's important to notice here that the buffer is turned around backwards, so it runs away from me. If this was to be running towards me, it could catch the knife and we could have some serious issues. So since our buffer's turned around backwards, we're good to go on this. We're just watching till that shadow underneath the knife disappears on the buffer. Not using a whole lot of pressure. Okay, we're going to check real quick, make sure this turned out sharp. You'll notice that it instantly bites into that leather. And that means it's sharp. If it's not biting into the leather, you still need some more work. And just go back to the finer grit stones and work on it a little more. I hope your knife turned out as sharp as mine did. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the class.